This story was about the world's most powerful dark wizard who reawakened after 15 years of imprisonment in a child's body. The story began when the god of destruction, named Anthrasax, attacked the world of people. Until a light emerged and a creature resembling a combined human and a dragon appeared. The Dragon Man defeated Anthrasax and over a period of time, the battle between the two became a legend. But as time went by, the story about what happened became different from the real one. After 400 years, there were 4 divine kings who were planning and would try to revive the god of destruction because they would use it to conquer and change the whole world. Led by the wizard, named Osborn together with the Dark Rebel army, they began to attack the kingdom of Metallicana. Due to the fact that the king, knights and the great priest were not currently in the kingdom, the group of Osborn easily defeated the soldiers guarding outside the wall. While the other soldiers, ministers, Princess Sheila, Yoko and Lucian were inside the palace. Then Yoko remembered the magic spell taught by the great priest, named Gio, who was also her father. This magic spell would supposedly bring out Lucian's second personality. Her father told her that she should only use it if the kingdom was in danger and when he was not there because Lucian's second persona was also a dangerous creature but it could protect the kingdom from enemies. He added that this creature was the evil wizard, named Schneider, that he imprisoned in Lucian's body 15 years ago after he was reincarnated. But this spell would only work if Lucian was also kissed by a virgin girl. So Gio begged Yoko that she should not get married. Princess Sheila saw Yoko and also asked about the magic spell because Gio also mentioned it to her. But Yoko hesitated and was shy to do it in front of many people. Until the group of Osborn managed to get inside the palace. The 3 ministers of Metallicana approached him, who turned out to be the traitors of the kingdom. But Osborn just had them killed by the vengeful monsters who were with them. These monsters started to attack the soldiers inside, and kill them one by one. Until Lucian was hit by a giant, causing him to lose consciousness. Because of this, Yoko decided to do the magic spell that her father said, and kiss Lucian. Lucian's appearance and body immediately changed and he became Dark Schneider. The evil wizard was very happy to be freed again and immediately looked for Gio so that he could take his revenge on him. Osborn ordered the 2 giants to attack him but Schneider just easily killed them. Even though Schneider's personality was back, he could still recognize Yoko because all of Lucian's memories were his memories as well. Osborn was surprised because Schneider used an ancient regeneration magic. Princess Sheila and the ministers did not expect that it was the Dark Schneider who was imprisoned in Lucian's body. They knew that it was Schneider who was the initiator of the Golden War 15 years ago with the 4 divine kings. The ministers even said that he also fought and killed one of the 5 knights, named Lars, the prince of Metallicana and Sheila's brother. Yoko added that when Schneider was about to die, he also able to use the ancient art of reincarnation. But even after Schneider came back, young Lucian manifested in his action who was still afraid of being reprimanded by Yoko. Once again, Osborn ordered all the monsters to kill them, but they were all defeated by Schneider in just one attack. And using Schneider's venom technique, he also eliminated Osborn. After the fight, Schneider left the palace, and Yoko chased after him. Schneider told her that he was going to go look for Gio to take his revenge, and then he would start the war again. Since he was annoyed on her constant nagging, he kissed Yoko, but what he did not know was, this action would make him return to Lucian's form. When Lucian came back, he was surprised by what he was wearing, and he also could not remember what happened. Meanwhile, the 4 divine kings who were Kalsu, Gara, Arshas and Abigail found out about Osborn's death. But Kalsu wanted to confirm if it was indeed Schneider, so Abigail suggested to send Kevadubu, who had a pet hydra. The hydra began to move towards the kingdom of Metallicana. Then Yoko saw that a dark cloud was approaching the kingdom. Gio took Yoko and Lucian to the palace because he had a hunch that something bad was going to happen. At the palace, they learned from a soldier who just came from the kingdom of Judas about the complete downfall of their kingdom. He added that the army which attacked their kingdom was now marching towards the kingdom of Metallicana. Gio arrived at the palace, then the king and the princess thanked Yoko and Lucian for their previous actions. Then Gio informed everyone that due to the actions of the Dark Rebel army and the manifestation of the Black Cloud, these were some of the signs of the resurrection of the god of destruction Anthrasax. After a while, Kevadubu and the Hydra had entered the kingdom and immediately caused trouble there. This was immediately reported to the king and they thought of waking Schneider once again. With the insistence of the ministers and his father, Yoko had no other choice but follow them. When Schneider was awoken, the ministers asked for his help but he did not listen to them. He even said that if they insist, everyone must kneel to him first. This annoyed the ministers, so they ordered the soldiers to attack him, but they were blocked by Schneider's fire. Schneider released his strong aura and challenged Geo in a fight, while Cavadubu and its Hydra also felt this too. Schneider attacked Geo with his lightning spell Balvolt, but Geo immediately created an anti-magic shield. When Schneider found out that there was a golem hidden under the palace, he woke it up with his blood since it was also his disciple. The golem emerged and attacked the soldiers. Yoko wanted to stop Schneider but she could not do it. When Cavadubu and the Hydra got in the palace, the golem just beat the Hydra to death. And Cavadubu was killed by Schneider's venom. Schneider ordered the golem to attack Geo but Yoko stopped him. Yoko was angry with Schneider and told him that this could not be done by Lucien. Schneider seemed to calm down and told her that he was still the Lucien that she knew, and the important people in Lucien's life were also his. Because Schneider wanted Yoko to believe that he and Lucien were one and just the same, he kissed her again so he could return as young Lucien. Outside the kingdom, Gara observed not far away from it. Knowing Cavadubu's defeat, he's certain that it was Schneider that killed it. He told his soldiers that they were led by Schneider in a war 15 years ago. He also decided to find out why would Schneider seem to protect the kingdom. He informed his army that he would probably be the strongest enemy they would fight if Schneider became one of their opponents. Meanwhile, Geo explained to the ministers why he concluded that someone was planning to revive Anthrasax. There were 4 seals on Anthrasax, and all seals were being guarded by the 4 kingdoms. He clarified to them that even if only one of these seals was broken, it would be a sign that Anthrasax could live again. The dark clouds were formed because a seal had been broken when the kingdom of Judas had fallen, which was one of the kingdoms that guarded the seal. They had a hunch that the army was being led by Kalsu, so Yoko asked his father who Kalsu was. Geo told her that Kalsu was one of Schneider's 4 divine kings, and one of its closest friends before. Others said that they were almost equal in power, but some said that Kalsu was even stronger than Schneider. When Kalsu talked to Abigail about Anthrasax's condition, Abigail said that its heart began to beat after they broke the seal on the kingdom of Judas. One night, Gara entered Yoko's room because he knew that she was the daughter of the great priest who imprisoned Schneider. He tied Yoko on the wall and asked her where they hide Schneider. Lucien woke up and Yoko just told him to go back to sleep because there was nothing to worry. When Lucien lay down again to go back to sleep, Schneider suddenly awoken and made Gara stop what he was doing to Yoko. Gara immediately recognized Schneider's voice and was surprised that it was in the body of a child. When Geo arrived in the room, Gara immediately called the wyvern, then he took Yoko as he left the palace. He took Yoko to his castle which he had the army of ninjas. While Geo talked to the king and informed what happened to Yoko. They wanted to save Yoko with Schneider but they said that there was no other virgin girl that could kiss Lucien. Suddenly, Princess Sheila volunteered herself to do it since Geo already taught her what to do. But the king did not agree to this because for a princess like her, the kiss was a sign of marriage. While the king and the princess were arguing, Geo ordered the other ministers to take the king to his room first. When the princess kissed Lucien, Schneider had been awoken again. Geo begged him to save Yoko from Gara but Schneider refused to do it. So Princess Sheila pleaded on him to do it, but she received unpleasant comment from Schneider which she did not like, causing her to slap him. After that, Schneider had no other choice but accompany Princess Sheila and the soldiers to save Yoko. They reached Gara's castle because Schneider knew that it had not moved yet to another area. Meanwhile, Gara tied Yoko to an empty well. He told her that if she wanted to be released, she must tell him how they removed Schneider's seal. Then he started telling her the story of Schneider's past and its being a womanizer. He even added that one member of the Divine Kings also became its woman. Meanwhile, when the group of Schneider was near the castle, Gara's disciples attacked them. But with just one attack by Schneider using his magic missiles, the enemies were immediately defeated. After that, Schneider asked Princess Sheila to remove her armor as well as her sword because she only slowed them down. Then Princess Sheila followed his command and they continued walking. When Schneider reached the front door of the castle, he blew it up so they could enter. Gara found out about this right away and he ordered his army to be ready to fight Schneider. When the group of Schneider entered the castle, they were attacked by a minotaur. While their fellow knights were fighting against the minotaur, Schneider took with him Princess Sheila and climbed up to continue their search for Yoko. When they reached the top, they faced the monster Suzuki Daijuzemon. Since it had a shield, Schneider was having a hard time defeating it. So Princess Sheila helped and managed to remove its shield, then Schneider immediately attacked it. As they continued to walk, Sheila saw a sword and approached it. When Schneider saw her, Sheila already grabbed the sword but she could not control its power, causing her to hit Schneider in the stomach. Schneider knew that it was a trap and he could feel the poison affecting his body from the wound he received. So he ordered Sheila to suck the blood from the wound to remove the poison. Sheila had no other choice but to do it since it was her fault anyway. While Sheila was doing it, the demon god, named Efreet, suddenly came out of the sword. Although he was wounded, Schneider fought against Efreet. Since both used the same element and Efreet's fire was more powerful, he had more advantage in their fight than Schneider. To protect Princess Sheila from the extreme heat when Efreet attacked with fire, Schneider brought out his shield. Then he left her inside this shield and continued his fight against Efreet. The god could not believe that Schneider could handle the extreme heat from his fire. Schneider thought of a way to defeat Efreet, and when he did it, Efreet was thrown to the room where Gaara and Yoko was located. The god Efreet accepted his defeat and said that only Schneider was the only one who defeated him since he was born. Then he transformed back into a sword. When Schneider touched it, the sword did not react, which was a sign that it accepted him as its new owner. He used it against the enemies until he saw Gaara while carrying Yoko. Then the two started their fight using their respective swords. Schneider put his sword aside and started to use the venom, but Gaara moved fast and managed to cut off one of his arms. Gaara thought that the venom would not continue, but Schneider still managed to use it on him. Because of this, it melted and injured one of Gaara's arm. Gaara thought that Schneider did not have any other technique to use against him, but it turned out that Schneider had another one. Due to this attack, Gaara's castle collapsed. While he and Schneider were talking, he remembered the little dragon Lars and was relieved when saw it clinging onto Sheila. Gaara accepted his defeat to Schneider and informed them that the third unit of the rebel army was currently attacking Metallicana Kingdom. The small dragon approached Schneider and it turned out to be the same Lars who was the prince of Metallicana that Schneider had fought in the war. Kalsa found out about what happened to Gaara, so he left Schneider to Arsha's because he was confident that she would win because her strength was far from Gaara. While in the kingdom of Metallicana, their soldiers could still prevent the enemies which were led by Arsha's from entering. The kingdom sent a letter to the leader of the enemy suggesting a peace talk, but Arsha's just killed the person who brought this letter. According to Arsha's, the war would only end if they could defeat her. Based on Kalsa's order to kill Schneider, she also found out that Gaara lost in the battle because the ninja army suddenly disappeared after the castle collapsed. While Arsha's was resting, she entered the illusion which was created by Schneider. He intended to win her heart again, but it did not work on her, so she beat him up. When Arsha's got rid of the illusion, she summoned one of her generals, named Sean, and instructed it to get rid of Schneider. When Schneider was separated from the others, Lars went with him to keep an eye on him. While they were talking about Schneider's sloppy plan on Arsha's, they suddenly heard a woman scream. When they went to the area, they saw a big spider chasing a woman. Disregarding Lars' comment, Schneider still helped the woman and easily killed the spider. The woman took them to her house and fed them lots of food. After eating, Schneider had decided to spend the night there. While he and Lars were talking, the woman entered his room and tried to seduce Schneider. It turned out to be Sean, and she was able to put a talisman on Schneider's back which immediately turned into a spider. Then she also told him that it was Arsha's who ordered her to kill him. The spider suddenly ate Schneider, while Sean was thrilled that she easily defeated him. But she did not know that she was already inside the illusion that Schneider created. He told her that before she could put the talisman on him, he had created an illusion on her. Because of this, Sean gave up unexpectedly because was amazed by his trick and was added to Schneider's women. The next day, Sean tried to stop Schneider from leaving because the other generals who were stronger than her were also waiting to kill him. She told him that she did not want him to die, but she could not stop him. A soldier went to Arsha's and informed her of Sean's defeat on Schneider. She got pissed and immediately thought of the forbidden technique that he might use on Sean. Meanwhile, as they got near to their destination, they noticed the statues scattered around the area. Suddenly, one of Arsha's generals, named Kai, appeared to them. Kai ordered the monsters to attack them, but they were quickly defeated by Schneider. Then he used Efreet and destroyed Kai's armor. He was surprised to know that his opponent was also a woman. Kai used her Tala's technique and Schneider's body gradually turned into stone. When Schneider found out that it was a high ancient magic, he thought of the ancient god from which it originated. Then he tried to find an ancient god which he could ask for help to remove this magic spell. Since Schneider could not move, Kai took advantage of this and attacked again using her Dio technique, but suddenly a spider blocked her attack and it turned out to be done by Sean. Sean told Kai that she could feel Schneider's power and it was so strong that even Kalsu or Arshas could not defeat. But Kai did not believe her words, so Sean was forced to attack her. But Kai easily defeated her spiders. When Kai mentioned the god that was the source of her spell, Schneider remembered that it was the one of the companions of a god connected to him. Because of this, he told her that he could deactivate all of Kai's high ancient magic. Schneider attacked with his ray bow, but Kai did not budge and released her pet the cockatrice using the crystal. It was the moment when Schneider realized it was the cockatrice who turned many people into stones. The cockatrice attacked again, but Sean countered it and changed the direction of the wind, which made Kai startled and broke the crystal when she dropped it. Because of this, Kai could no longer control the cockatrice and it attacked her as well. The cockatrice gone wild, so Schneider killed it with just one attack. Before Schneider and Lars left, Kai warned them about the third general that they might face. They added that it was stronger than both of them because using its own magic he was able to make his body immortal. In the evening, Schneider felt the weakness of his body because of the battles he went through since Gara's castle. His problem was they were in the enemy's territory, but he still could not stop Lucien from coming back, who immediately looked for Yoko. The battle was still going on in the Metallicana kingdom while Yoko left the kingdom to find Schneider. Gio was informed by the soldiers that the fourth arch was destroyed and that they only had one arch left for defense. Fortunately, Gara and the army of ninjas suddenly came to help Metallicana kingdom in the fight. As Lucien continued to walk in search of Yoko, they saw her bathing in the river. Meanwhile, the knights could not believe that what they were looking for was just a child. Then their attention went to the little dragon Lars. The knights were curious because it has the same name as the prince. They jokingly said that this might be the reincarnation of the prince. Because during the war against Schneider, the prince allegedly used the forbidden magic. It was this magic that transformed the prince into a legendary dragon to defeat Schneider. According to rumors, the two died at the same time, but no one has yet confirmed about the death of the prince. Yoko was about to go to sleep when suddenly she felt a bad aura. It turned out to be a werewolf that came to the area because of Yoko's smell. It easily defeated the knights who were with them. Schneider had been awoken but was beat up since he did not totally transform. But with just one blow from Schneider to the werewolf's stomach, it immediately writhed in pain. Schneider used the venom, but the werewolf still managed to survive. Then he found out that this werewolf was Diamond's disciple, who was one of Arshas' generals. The werewolf also mentioned Diamond's plan to betray Arshas as well as Kalsu so that he would lead the conquest of the whole world. After the werewolf said everything Schneider wanted to know, he killed it right away. Lars realized that Schneider's reincarnation was not yet complete, and this was also noticed by Diamond, who was just watching from above. Because of this, Diamond was confident that he can defeat Schneider, so he decided to go down to them and face Schneider. But Schneider weakened again and Lucien returned. For this reason, Diamond easily caught them and imprisoned Lucien. Sean and Kai were also there because they were also caught by the assistant of Diamond, named Jodo. Diamond wanted to kill Sean and Kai because of their betrayal. But Sean and Kai already knew about Diamond's plans to betray Arshas, so they broke their handcuffs on their hands. The two told Diamond that they only pretended to be arrested so that they could be taken to his hideout. They attacked Diamond, but the injuries he got were quickly healed. Kai used the cross and garlic, but those did not affect Diamond too. When Diamond grabbed Kai, he sucked her blood. He said that he would become stronger than Kalsu and Arshas when he drank the blood of Kai and Sean. Then Sean and Kai mentioned Schneider, who was they believed to beat him effortlessly. Then Diamond pointed at Lucien and said that it was the Schneider that they were talking about. This information surprised Sean and Kai because it was just a child. When Lucien saw Diamond hurting Kai, Schneider's persona reacted to his cruelty towards her. Because of Lucien's fear, Schneider was able to control Lucien's body. But since Lucien was still awake, he could not totally transform into Schneider. But when he saw Diamond kick Yoko, Schneider got so angry and he was able to transform fully. Schneider used the advanced Balvolt spell on Diamond, but it did not work on him. Then Diamond attacked Schneider with his assassin technique, and this made Schneider's body cut into pieces. Diamond was laughing because he thought he defeated Schneider easily. But he was surprised to see Schneider, who was right behind him and was laughing with him. It turned out that it was his disciple, Jodo, who was hit by his attack, and Schneider just laughed at him. In Diamond's anger, he used the rotating assassin, but Schneider absorbed one of it and returned the attack to Diamond. Schneider hit the wall behind his opponent and Diamond thought that he had missed his target. It turned out that he did it on purpose to break the wall and expose Diamond to the sunlight. And this turned Damon's body to ashes. Schneider knew that a bat would rise from the ashes, so he waited for it. When it came out, Schneider attacked it and tore a small part from its wing. He told Diamond that when his bat form returned in the coffin, he would transform into a vampire again after 2 days. So Schneider turned the torn piece from Diamond into a blue nail and injected it into its bat form. Then he told Diamond that if he betrayed him, the color of the blue nail would gradually change, and when it became crimson red, it would kill Diamond right away. After that, Diamond got scared and flew away while his minions ran for their lives too. Meanwhile in Metallicana Kingdom, Gaara's group was still fighting against the army led by Arshas. Kalsu saw that Gaara was helping Metallicana. Aside from that, they also learned about the defeat of Arsha's 3 generals. Because of this, Abigail thought that Arshas might also betray them because it was Schneider who took care of her before. So in order for Abigail to make sure that Arshas would not betray them, he wanted to use the accused spell on her to make sure that she would remain loyal to them. Arshas agreed to this, then Abigail performed the accused spell. After that, Arshas immediately left. Kalsu and Abigail also talked about Schneider and his changes. Because the Schneider they knew kills mercilessly, but he seemed to have changed because he let the 3 generals of Arshas live. Then they also planned to attack other kingdoms while Schneider was still busy fighting Arshas' group. Abigail knew that they made a good plan to let Arshas and Schneider fight each other. And in order for Arshas to destroy the accused spell on her, she would have to tear Schneider's heart while it was still beating. And if Schneider wanted to save Arshas from the accused spell, he had to sacrifice himself. Yoko sent Sean and Kai to the temple to help Kai heal from Diamond's bite. While Gaara was fighting the monsters, Arshas came and immediately attacked him. Then Arshas asked him why he betrayed them, and Gaara answered that he just felt happier to be on Schneider's side. Arshas could not accept this, so she used her Raging Consort on her opponent, which technique was known that could split even a mountain. Their battle continued until Arshas used the Dragon Blast Demon Slash that cut Gaara's arm and destroyed the bridge as well. Arshas thought she had won, but Gaara was still alive. She saw not just 1 but 7 Gaara who's laughing at her. Gaara used the True Majinkan on her, but Arshas knew that only one of those Gaaras was real and the rest were just illusions. Arshas was able to parry Gaara's real attack, but her Raging Consort was damaged. Despite that, she still continued her attack with an anthem, but it was easily blocked by Gaara. So Arshas used the Ragingkin technique on him again. It easily cut through the Murasame, causing the Ragingkin to hit Gaara. Arshas was about to kill Gaara when she was suddenly attacked by someone. Arshas survived and saw Schneider in the distance. She did not even realize that it was already behind her, who hugged her tight. Schneider once again seduced her, but when she saw her blue nail, she remembered what Abigail had said to her. So she immediately removed Schneider's hands on her. Then she told Schneider that she would never let him fool her again. She called her Griffin, and before she left, she told Schneider that she would return after rebuilding her army, and that would also be the last day of the Metallicana Kingdom. While resting, Gaara warned Schneider against Arshas because she had gotten stronger in the past 15 years. Because of the continuous pouring of heavy rain, they knew that the kingdom would be safe from any attack for the meantime. Gio and Princess Sheila went to the fortune teller in the kingdom and asked about the seal that was used on Schneider. They also wanted to know why Schneider was able to transform even without being kissed by a virgin, since they thought it was impossible to break the sacred seal of an evil person. According to the fortune teller, based on what she could see in her crystal ball, the sacred seal on Schneider's body was still in perfect condition. But she immediately thought that it might be because of Anomada. Even though they knew that it was impossible to break the sacred seal, there was still a way to break it. This would happen if the one who tried to destroy it has love in her heart, in other words, that person's intentions were true and good. The crystal ball lit up again and they saw Schneider with a hole on his chest and had no heart. When Yoko went to see Schneider, she saw him and Sheila hugging each other, so she immediately hid. Schneider laughed at Sheila when she told him about the prediction on him while Yoko was listening to what Schneider and Sheila were talking about. They also discussed about Arsha's and what the fortune teller saw in her heart. She had so much anger in her heart and this hatred was devouring her soul. Princess Sheila also told him that she was worried because he was risking his life just for the kingdom. But Schneider made it clear to her that he did not care about the kingdom, for he just wanted to have the Dark Rebel army in his hands again, so he can conquer the world no matter who decided to fight him. Then Geo felt that Arsha's was already outside the kingdom. Schneider also noticed something strange outside, and from Arsha's attack called Megadeath, the other part of the palace collapsed. Schneider did not like what Arsha's did, and when he was about to approach her, Princess Sheila stopped him. So Schneider borrowed money from Yoko and she gave him a coin. Then he promised that he would try to return the coin to Yoko once it's done because he could no longer avoid fighting Arsha's. Arsha's also used the Ragingkin that was restored after it was broken in her fight with Gara. Then Schneider used the magic that would make him fly to get closer to Arsha's. At that moment, Arsha's released the black liquid lightning sphere that could absorb magic. It absorbed Schneider's magic to fly, causing him to fall to the ground. Arsha's was about to attack when Schneider used magic, but she just absorbed it. Efreet suddenly appeared and immediately transformed into a sword. When Arsha's attacked, Schneider aimed at the griffin, which caught fire and fell. Based on Gara's observation, although Schneider's sword was as strong or possibly stronger than Arsha's sword, he was still in danger. Because Arsha's was trained as a swordsman of the Hurricane style of swordsmanship while Schneider was a wizard. So he was not sure if Schneider could win in a sword fight. When their swords met, Efreet suddenly spoke. According to Efreet, the world needed Schneider's power. When Schneider and Arsha's both dropped their swords, Efreet grabbed the Ragingkin and let it be absorbed into the lightning sphere. But Arsha's suddenly attacked Schneider and hit him in the forehead. Although wounded, Schneider stood up and they both used magic to fly. They continued their fight and both also used the riot. Schneider attacked with Exodus, but they were surprised because Arsha's could also use it. Before their attacks hit each other, Schneider suddenly remembered about the memories he had with Arsha's when they were together before, causing him to lose his focus and be hit by Arsha's attack. They all thought that Schneider was dead, but they were surprised when he suddenly got up. Yoko and the others were very happy to see that Schneider was fine. But after a few minutes of him being boastful, blood once again came out on his forehead and he also weakened. When Arsha's was about to attack again, Schneider immediately told her that he loved her, which made Arsha's hesitated to attack. But Arsha's did not believe him and she released thunder spirits. Left with no other choice, Schneider released his fire spirits too. Their summoned spirits started fighting and Schneider told Arsha's to stop, but she did not listen to him. So what Schneider did was to stay away from Arsha's and talk to her again. During the chase, Schneider told Arsha's not to give in to Khalsa's Sorcerer Kingdom plans because it was just Khalsa's excuse to conquer the whole world. But Arsha's replied that Khalsa was not like him, who just wanted to conquer the world to have a lot of women on his side. She added that unlike him, she could see Khalsa's plans leading to her dream world. When Arsha's approached Schneider to attack him, he was able to get hold of her. He reminded Arsha's of the memories they shared since childhood. Suddenly, the accused spell reacted and Arsha's felt so much pain that it caused her lightning to be released and hit Schneider. Abigail was entertained as he and Khalsa watched the battle because his accusations on Arsha's was right. Khalsa decided to leave because he had no reason to watch it anymore. He said that if Arsha's dies, they would be the next to fight Schneider, so they should prepare. When Schneider approached Arsha's, he was punched by her. She released the thunder spirits again and so did Schneider's fire spirits. Because of the injuries that Schneider received, he was slowly getting weaker and was being beaten by Arsha's. But Arsha's was having a hard time, for she could see that Schneider was still not giving up despite the injuries he had on his body. Because of her feelings for Schneider, the accused spell continued to react on it. Meanwhile, Yoko was surprised because what she could see in Arsha's was not a bad aura. Schneider and Arsha's both decided to use their last attack to finish it off. They both used the ultimate spell of destruction called Halloween. Gara noticed that Schneider's attack was stronger because Arsha's was being pushed back, that she was even being hit by stones that were being thrown in her direction. Yoko noticed that Arsha's was crying, so she wanted Gara to stop the two of them, but according to Gara it was currently impossible to stop the fight. Suddenly Schneider heard a voice and it turned out to be Lucien. He showed to him Arsha's true condition and Schneider immediately noticed the effect of the accused spell on her. Lucien told him that Arsha's did not want to die from the spell or to kill him. He said that Arsha's just wanted to be killed by the one she loved. Schneider knew that it was Abigail who had done the accused spell on Arshas, and this made him very angry. So he used the transfer magic to cast the Halloween spell elsewhere. After that, he approached Arshas and told her that he would free her from the accused spell. Then he suddenly thrust his hand on his chest and took his heart out. The accused spell was removed from Arshas and Schneider also died. Because of this, Yoko lost consciousness and Gara cried on the sacrifice done by Schneider. On the other hand, Abigail was very happy on Schneider's death because no one would interfere anymore on their plan to revive Anthrasax. Kalso had also started to attack the kingdom of the White Snake, who was also one of the guardians of the seals. Because of Kalso's great power, the kingdom's army could not fight back against him. Even the 100 magicians of the White Snake Kingdom could not fight against the power of Kalso. When Kalso used the Biscaya, the kingdom of the White Snake was defeated immediately. While Abigail was in another seal-guarding kingdom and ordered his army of undead to attack the Iron Maiden. The king of this kingdom could not do anything anymore and their kingdom was also being defeated. After that, Abigail also ordered the undead army to march towards the Metallicana kingdom. As Anthrasax's resurrection was fast approaching, Kalso worried whether they would be able to control it. But Abigail was confident that they could control Anthrasax because according to him, it was easy for a goblin was even smarter compared to it. The king spoke to Sheila to tell her about the secret regarding the seal which was in their custody. He told her that the seal that protected their kingdom was placed on something close to Sheila. While Gara could already feel the army of undead approaching the kingdom of Metallicana. He thought that he could no longer rely on Arshas to help in the battle because of what happened to Schneider. But he was surprised to see that she was ready to fight to get revenge on the enemies. They went out to look at the army of the undead and they saw with them their commander, named Lynch. It was also as strong as Diamond and was almost an immortal being. Meanwhile, Lars visited Schneider and he could not believe that in his 15-year search for the receiver on the legendary dragon's power, Schneider was the one he could see that fit the person he was looking for. Schneider's body suddenly lit up which surprised Lars. It returned to Lucien's form and after Anthrasax's 2 other seals got broken, Lucien also immediately returned to Schneider's form. Anthrasax opened its eyes and screamed, which caused Schneider to be awakened when he felt its great aura. This was also felt by Gio and he immediately found out that the 2 seals had been broken. Yoko felt something strange was happening on Schneider so she quickly went to him and they saw that his heart was slowly forming. The fortune teller and Gio sensed evil powers from the darkness and were gathering around Schneider. Meanwhile, outside the palace, Arshas and Gara started to attack Lynch's group but whatever attacks they made, those could not even cause damage to their opponent. Lynch attacked with a raging destruction strike that shoved both of them and inflicted injury on Gara. Then Lynch told them that the resurrection of Anthrasax gave those who were its followers from darkness extra powers. When Schneider's heart was restored, Yoko went on top of him and slapped Schneider to wake him up. Yoko called out Lucien and threatened him that she would punish him, and this suddenly caused Schneider to wake up. Those who were outside the palace also felt Schneider's strong aura. So the necromancer, named Doshi, told Lynch to immediately kill Arshas and Gara. Arshas and Gara once again used their most powerful attacks on their enemy but they still could not take Lynch down after Lynch's attack, they were thrown away and were injured. Doshi came down to them and kicked both Gara and Arshas. When Lynch was about to attack them again, Schneider suddenly came and stomped on Lynch. Schneider beat up both Lynch and Doshi then he blew up Lynch using his power. Arshas was so happy to see Schneider alive so she immediately approached and hugged him. While the army of ninjas also defeated the army of the undead after Lynch defeat. When they returned to the kingdom, they were greeted by the cheers of people including Yoko and Sheila. It was followed by a grand party to celebrate their victory. While Yoko was in her room, Schneider came to her pretending to be Santa Claus to return the coin he borrowed. On the other hand, Abigail could not believe on Schneider's resurrection as well as Lynch's quick defeat, even though it was holding the demon mail which was one of the 3 legendary demonic treasures. Abigail realized that maybe Schneider was more affected by the reawakening of Anthrasax because he had previously led the devils. Kalsa suddenly came and just smiled at what was happening while Abigail seemed to explode with so much anger at Schneider. Because of this, he ordered the undead Cyclops, named Vivian who was holding the devil mace which was also one of the 3 legendary demonic treasures to attack the Metallicana kingdom. Doshi was also with it and they attacked the people of the city. While Gio and Gara were talking about the 3 demonic treasures, the news about the Cyclops attack who's holding the devil mace reached them. When Doshi saw the girl who was trying to help her mother, Doshi liked the girl's eyes so he told her that he was going to take them. Before he could do so, Schneider came with Gara and Arsha's. He beat up Doshi and took out one of its eyes. So Doshi called Vivian, and as the Cyclopes was about to attack them, she was hit first by Schneider's attack. But the injury it got from Schneider's attack quickly healed and it suddenly changed in form as well. Gara and Arsha's were about to join the fight but Schneider told them not to interfere. Vivian attacked first, causing the ground to collapse and buried Schneider in it. When Schneider got up, he used a crash magnum that split Vivian's body but it once again returned back to normal. Then Vivian used the power of the devil mace. It was so strong that it caused the destruction of a large part of the city. Doshi was overwhelmed by this, but he was surprised that Schneider got behind him and once again snatched his other eye, while Vivian seemed restless as if there was a problem with her body. Suddenly something came out of its body, so Schneider asked Gara and Arsha's their help to finish Vivian. In order for Schneider to get enough time preparing for his technique, he let the two attack Vivian. Using the Black Sabbath, which was also a forbidden spell, it created a big hole in the ground for the underworld and it absorbed Vivian and Doshi together. When Yoko arrived, Schneider was being boastful again about his powerful technique, but she only scolded him for the damages he did to the city. After Abigail saw what Schneider had done, he said that he would find a way to send the strongest and the king of the undead, named Lich. Khalsa just asked Abigail how he could bring such a creature to their aid. Meanwhile, the ministers were worried about what Schneider was doing because he might be the first to destroy the kingdom before Anthrasax arrives. But according to the king, there was no one else whom they could depend on to defeat Anthrasax and the army of Khalsa and Abigail but only Schneider. After Vivian's defeat, 2 of the 3 demonic treasures were now in the hands of the Metallicana kingdom, but Geo was in deep thought because he knew that the Devil Mace had not yet released its other power. Since Abigail managed to get the approval of Lich to be their ally, it started attacking the Metallicana and brought a dark gas cloud. Anyone who looked into its eyes immediately suffered as their flesh became rotten. It had reached other parts of the kingdom. Then they informed Gara and Schneider about it. Geo told Yoko and the other ministers what happened after the attacks of Anthrasax. He said that the whole world was shrouded in terrifying mystery with the rise of monsters and other scary creatures. One of the horrors of this mystery was the undead. Then he included in their conversation about what happened in the Kingdom of Purple 50 years ago. According to Geo, it was a rich kingdom, but in just one night it turned into a dead kingdom that even a grass could not grow in there. And the cause was the dark gas cloud that Lich used in the kingdom. Geo added that there were 4 chosen to become Eddies using the undead immortalization spell. Each of them had their own dungeon, and although many feared and resent them for using negative magic, they are not direct enemies of humans. Until someone tried to use the Megadeth in a dungeon. Yoko immediately thought that the person Geo was referring to was Schneider. As the gas cloud continued to spread throughout the kingdom, the flame wall was activated to stop it. Schneider Group also arrived and he knew that it was Abigail who did this. But Arsha's was surprised that Abigail was able to get Lich follow its command because Eddies were known to be smarter than humans. But Schneider was not surprised if it was the Eddies who attacked the Purple Kingdom because of what he did in one of the dungeons. It was only this moment that they found out the reason why the Lich got angry, causing it to attack the Purple Kingdom, and it was because of what Schneider did. When Lich passed the flame wall, they immediately approached him. Schneider even said jokingly that Lich seemed to get thinner because its bones were already visible. He continued annoying Lich until it got so angry at Schneider. So Lich attacked him with his decay spell, but it did not affect on Schneider. Meanwhile, Yoko felt the aura coming from the Devil Mace. Arsha's felt that the power of Schneider and Lich's magic were gradually decreasing. Arsha's asked Schneider to be careful, but he was still confident on his ability. When Schneider attacked using his vengeance, Lich just blocked it with his shield striper. Schneider told him that the shield he created could also prevent its own spell. So Lich revealed the Satan Ring, which was the 3rd demonic treasure. Then he used the Jillian Ian technique to create a black hole. Schneider was about to use the Raven to try to get away, but he did not have enough magic to do it. Geo also felt that he was slowly running out of power, and he immediately thought that it might be caused by the other power of the Devil Mace. So Yoko went to the source of the bad aura that she felt. Schneider lost his grip and was almost sucked into the black hole when Arsha's came to save him and used her sword to prevent them from being absorbed. Because of what Lich was saying to Schneider, he was annoyed and let go of Arsha's and was sucked into the black hole. Arsha's sword broke and Gara grabbed it to save her, but Arsha's let go of the sword too to follow Schneider into the black hole. After Schneider and Arshas were absorbed by the black hole, Jilly and Ian gradually closed. Lich was about to leave when Gara stopped him and told him that the fight was not over yet. The ministers were worried about their kingdom because of what happened to Schneider, but Sheila still believed that he was still alive. When Yoko arrived in a room with a bad aura, she saw the glowing devil mace in Abigail. He introduced himself to Yoko and explained why the devil mace was glowing. He said that it happened because it absorbed the powers of those people around it. With the demon male, they could also feel that the Satan ring was just around the corner. According to Yoko, she knew something bad would happen when the three demonic treasures were together, but she did not want to know more about it. Suddenly the light disappeared from the two demonic treasures, and according to Abigail it was because the Jilly and Ian had closed. When the fight started between Gara and Lich, Gara immediately used the True Majinkin. But it did not even affect Lich, and it used the Skid Row, which hit Gara and he was thrown away. A ninja suddenly remembered that there was still a way to beat Lich using Murisami, and he was sure that Gara was already planning how to do it. Lich was about to attack again when Gara decided to use the true power of Murisami. When Lich attacked using the Skid Row, Gara just accepted this and it injured him. But after that, Gara used the Yoma Tai-san and attacked Lich. Because of this, it caused a lot of damage to Gara. The ninjas were surprised that Lich was not even affected by it. According to Lich, it was because of the devil mace that Murisami's power had decreased into halves, but if the full power was used on him, he might have ended with a lot of injuries. Lich was surprised when Gara got up again, but he told him that the flame wall was also losing its flames. Lich added that when it disappeared completely, Schneider would surely be dead too, and it was too late to save them. But Gara did not listen to him and attacked Lich again with Kaien Kinninkin. Because it was so powerful, Gara was able to beat up Lich. When Gara was about to lose his consciousness, he remembered Schneider's advice to be careful because he was just an extra and he might not live again. The ninjas approached him and they were surprised that Lich rose again. It used the Jillian Ian once again, but Nui suddenly came out of it and immediately bit him. Efreet was also there to give way, and that was the moment that Schneider and Arshas were able to come out from it. While Nui was still biting Lich, Schneider talked to Gara. Lich managed to get rid of Nui and immediately rushed towards Schneider, but using Efreet, Schneider split Lich into two. Then Lich confessed his plan to steal the Satan ring from Abigail. Because with this, he would be able to discover its true power, which was stronger than the power of the god of destruction. Schneider attacked him again until Lich was defeated and disappeared. Schneider thought that Gara was dead, but it suddenly got up because it was annoyed on his words. Arshas thought about the last words of Lich and suddenly remembered an incident 15 years ago. She saw the Satan ring and it immediately went to the location of the demon mail and devil mace. Abigail was surprised to see the Satan ring willingly join the other two demonic treasures. He could not believe that Lich, who was a powerful being, had been defeated even though it was using the Satan ring. As Abigail was about to leave, the three demonic treasures lit up again. Other soldiers came, but Abigail easily defeated them in just one attack. Yoko tried to close the iron gate to lock the enemy inside, but Abigail just broke it too. And Abigail planned to find Sheila to get the seal. Then Arshas appeared and told Yoko to leave the place before something bad happened to her. Abigail thought that Arshas would take revenge because of the accused spell he did on her. But Arshas told him that this was not her intention because she just wanted to ask some questions to him. Arshas realized that this could only be answered if he defeated Abigail, so they both prepared to fight. Then she used her Tesla technique, which Abigail had never seen before. Meanwhile, Geo noticed the strange lightning and wondered who was controlling it. Abigail's entry to the palace also reached him and was currently at Yoko's location. The guards also informed the other minister and Princess Sheila about the situation. Arshas knew that Tesla was not enough to defeat Abigail. Then they were surprised when Abigail suddenly appeared behind Arshas and immediately grabbed her on her neck. So Arshas used her power to control the wind. She created a very strong tornado that even Lars had noticed that it was no longer the tornado he saw 15 years ago due to its extreme strength. But Abigail just underestimated it, so Arshas attacked him with the dying tire. Geo, together with other ministers and the commander of the Metallicana army, gathered in the king's room to discuss the situation. According to the commander, he still did not trust Schneider. He did not notice that Schneider was just right behind him, who showered him with noodles while Gara was also there enjoying the food. The commander was annoyed and wanted to have duel with Schneider, but Princess Sheila and the king arrived and stopped the commotion. When they seated, the king expressed his gratitude to Schneider and Gara for protecting the kingdom. Schneider told the king that it was fine, but in his mind he was thinking about acquiring the kingdom soon after eliminating his current opponents. He knew that they were worried about Abigail, so he assured them that he would not turn them down in this fight. Schneider asked Sheila about the last seal, but he already knew that Sheila would not easily talk about it. The king also told Sheila to think carefully before speaking about it. But Schneider told Princess Sheila that she should not hesitate to trust a handsome hero like him. Because of this, Sheila decided to talk about the secret of the last seal. Arshas knew that Abigail had not been defeated yet, but just a few seconds when Abigail got up, he felt the damage caused by Arshas' attack. Abigail got angry and speaking ill of her for her betrayal to a god. But Arshas strongly replied, saying that Anthrasax was not a god, but a demon. Arshas added that she already knew that he was just fooling the 4 divine kings to revive this demon from ancient times. Abigail did not deny it, and this made Arshas angry and summoned Nui, who immediately transformed into a raging consort. After Sheila told about the secret of the last seal, Schneider thought that it was the necklace that she was wearing because she was always holding it. But to his dismay, Sheila told him that it was not the seal. She said that she just had a habit of touching it whenever she felt nervous. It was only that moment when Schneider and the rest found out that Sheila had the 4th seal inside of her. So Schneider promised that he would protect Princess Sheila. After the attack done by Arshas using the Ragingkin, Abigail fell immediately. But when he stood up, he used the 3 demonic treasures. It transformed into a giant and dragged Abigail inside of it. It made an attack, so Arshas immediately took Yoko and Lars away from the area. The enemy continued to chase and attack them until they end up outside the palace. Arshas attacked with a super ballistic thunder strike and was about to follow it up with another attack, but she was caught by the opponent. Abigail spoke and told her his plans and the reason why he wanted to revive Anthrasax. He said that he had no intention of changing the world because his true mission was to destroy everything, and this was passed down to him since ancient times. Schneider awakened the golem and immediately went to their location. When Schneider was annoyed on what Abigail had done, he attacked him and aimed at its face. To prevent Schneider in attacking him, Abigail made Arshas his shield because he knew that Schneider was not the same as before, who did not care about other people. Schneider suddenly knelt down and said that he was ready to obey everything Abigail wanted as long as he would not kill Arshas. Abigail was thrilled about this and ordered Schneider to kill himself. But because Schneider could not handle all the nonsense that Abigail was saying, the golem suddenly punched him, causing Abigail to release Arshas. As soon as Schneider rushed onto him, Abigail used the Abigail Collider. Schneider quickly left the golem, and because of Abigail's strong attack, the golem disappeared. They learned from Abigail that the 3 demonic treasures were also made in ancient times and were formed in the same way that Anthrasax was made. He offered Schneider to be his slave, but Schneider quickly rejected it, so he stomped onto him. Abigail thought that Schneider was dead, but it suddenly got up and threw him away. Schneider flew away and he locked Abigail inside a barrier which was an ancient magic. Then he used the Adzapillion, which immediately enveloped the barrier by thousands of demons that he also took from hell. Abigail was terrified of this as the demons feasted on him. When Anthrasax woke up again, it slowly moved, which affected the seal on Princess Sheila's body. A few minutes later, Abigail broke free and immediately attacked Schneider. While Sheila was still writhing in pain, they could see what was happening in the kingdom of Judas where Anthrasax was located. Gio thought that maybe the seal on Princess Sheila was starting to break. Because of the injuries that Schneider suffered, he found it difficult to attack. And in Abigail's anger, he continued attacking on him and repeatedly stomped on Schneider. Because he thought that Schneider was dead, he started to go up the wall to see Princess Sheila. They were all surprised that Abigail knew that the last seal was in Sheila's body. Abigail got excited to get it. He knew that they would put the seal where it was hard to see, and they thought of putting it on Sheila's abdomen. At Sheila's request, Schneider rose again and the power of darkness gathered in him. He used the Halloween, and with its power, it caused damage to a large part of the palace. Unfortunately, it did not affect Abigail. So Arshas came to the rescue and she also used Halloween on Abigail. But no matter how strong their combined Halloween was, it still had not defeated Abigail. The people of the kingdom were starting to lose their hope because of Schneider's condition. Arshas and Gara were about helping to go to Schneider, but Yoko blocked them because she believed that Schneider could not be defeated easily. Gio was already thinking that the seal on Sheila's body might suddenly break if the fight between Schneider and Abigail continued due to the combined power of darkness. Schneider got up again, and after hearing what Yoko said about his sweet prize once the fight was over, he regained great power. When Abigail attacked with the collider, Schneider countered it with the Exodus. Abigail was confident that it still would not penetrate his armor, but Schneider aimed at the part which was not covered by the armor. Because of this, Abigail exploded, but Schneider's body was torn too. After that, Schneider felt sad because he lost his weapon in the upcoming battle between him and Yoko. Gara realized why Yoko stopped them and why she knew Schneider's condition better than Arsha's. But Abigail rose up again and grabbed Yoko. Abigail could not believe that Schneider was able to defeat the combined power of the three demonic treasures. Despite the threat of Arsha's and Gara to Abigail that two of the four divine kings were going to fight him, Abigail knew that both of them had their injuries already. That's why he was not swayed by them. While in Schneider's situation, Abigail was in control because he was holding Schneider's weakness. Abigail suddenly attacked Schneider with the tool, and he was able to hold onto Arsha's and Gara. Abigail made Yoko a shield so that Schneider could attack. But Yoko wanted Schneider to finish the opponent because of its evil plans to destroy the world, even if it means that he had to end her life too. Abigail used the tool on Schneider again, and Schneider said that he would choose Yoko over the world. Abigail was entertained by this, and he used the tool on Schneider again, but it was blocked by Sean's talisman. Kai was also there, who quickly attacked Abigail, causing him to release Yoko. Abigail mentioned that although he had used almost all of her magic and physical strength, Anthrasax had tissue cells in him that continued in giving him strength. Because of this, he was able to release numerous ghost knights. But due to the great number of their opponents, they were struggling in the fight. Fortunately, the soldiers and ninjas came there to help them. As they continued to fight the ghost knights, Abigail gathered them and created a bigger one. Gara attacked it first with True Majinkan, but it was not affected by the attack. While Arsha's used the Tesla, but she also ran out of energy immediately. The gigantic ghost knight began to attack using its machine gun strafe. Because of this, Gara lost his arm and Arsha's leg got broken. Schneider dreamed of Lucian, and he told him that his mission was not over and he should not die yet. Schneider told him that he would get rid of Abigail and have the world under his control. When he woke up, the fire spirits gathered around him to serve as his feet and hands. Abigail was surprised by what Schneider was able to do and immediately thought that Anthrasax had something to do with it. Even Kalsu was also wondering about Anthrasax's repeated screams. Abigail told Schneider that the power which he was able to use was due to Anthrasax. Schneider was also the most affected by Anthrasax's power due to his previous leadership on evil, which being recognized by the demon. As the seal on Anthrasax was disappearing, Schneider was also getting stronger. And if the seal on Princess Sheila was also broken, it was certain that Schneider would have a very strong power. As Abigail continued to talk about Schneider's past, he was suddenly punched by Schneider. Then he ordered his giant ghost knight to attack, but it did not hit Schneider because of its shield. As Schneider recited the spell for Halloween, Abigail tried to get ahead of him, but Efreet came and immediately attacked the giant ghost knight. Because of this, Schneider was able to finish Halloween's spell and attack the giant ghost knight. He also followed it up with Exodus that caused the ghost knight to burn. Schneider released the fire spirits to attack other ghost knights. When he got close to Abigail, he beat him up. But it turned out that Abigail was just waiting for Schneider's strength to run out so he could use the Satan ring. When Schneider stopped punching him, Abigail was about to use the Satan ring, but Schneider threw Efreet on him, causing Abigail to lose his consciousness. The fire spirits on Schneider's body had also disappeared due to his weakness. Yoko approached him and Schneider told her that both him and Lucian loved her. Abigail woke up again and was about to attack Schneider with the tool, but Yoko tried to stop him. And when she noticed that Abigail was standing on what was about to collapse, she quickly came to it to push the big stone, but she too fell with Abigail. Yoko ended up in the sea while Abigail was impaled on the tower. The darkness gone wild from Abigail's body, and suddenly the sky darkened. The palace was slowly crumbling, so Arsha's embraced Schneider. They almost was about to be crashed by a wall. Luckily Gara protected them. As the palace collapsed, they were also engulfed in light. When Schneider separated from his body, he saw Yoko and hugged her. The members of Kalsu's army, also known as the First Army, watched the fall of Metallicana Kingdom. While Kalsu witnessed when Anthrasaxes go back to its deep sleep again. The situation of Metallicana Kingdom reached the samurai's village. Then one of their colleagues spotted something outside, so they went to check it. When they opened the door, they saw Yoko and Lucien, who was bleeding. Then Yoko desperately begged them to save Lucien. In the past 2 years after the fall of the Metallicana Kingdom, the Dark Rebel Army, under the leadership of Kalsu, continued their conquest in other territories. Together with his 12 sorcerer shoguns, they would soon conquer the entire Metal Lion continent. But as of now, they still had not been able to trace Princess Sheila's location. Sheila held the last seal on Anthrasax, and this was the reason why Anthrasax had not been completely awakened from his long-time imprisonment. The last territory that they conquered was the town of Danis in the Iron Maiden Kingdom, and it was ruled by one of the sorcerer shoguns, named Ingwai. Suddenly there was an explosion in the town itself, and according to Ingwai's soldier, they were under attack by the civilians, who targeted the storage of their food. Ingwai immediately gave the order to kill the civilians, but he was surprised when he found out that these people were led by a samurai. Under the leadership of the samurai master, named Joshua, they easily eliminated the orcs. When another group of orcs arrived, a man named Vi used his power on the enemies. Due to the strength of the samurai, the orcs were afraid of fighting them. The civilians quickly entered the storage of food, but it only took a few moments for Ingwai to arrive at the area. He attacked the civilians, and Joshua heard the screams of his companions. They quickly went to storage area, and when they entered, they saw the lifeless bodies of the civilians. They saw Ingwai in there. Vi was very angry on what Ingwai did, and wanted to fight him, but he was stopped by other samurai. Joshua confronted Ingwai, and they talked about the Iron Maiden King, who died at the hands of the Dark Rebel Army. In order for Joshua to show his loyalty to their king, he decided to fight Ingwai. They both rushed at each other and exchanged attacks with their swords. Joshua was able to hit Ingwai's armor, but he was surprised because it turned out that his armor would also be destroyed. When Ingwai noticed Shen, he mentioned the name of a sorcerer shogun named Zion. Joshua was about to attack again when Kai suddenly came there to stop him. Kai wanted to be the one to fight Ingwai because a samurai master was a bigger loss among the samurai compared to the absence of a sorcerer shogun in Kalsu's army. Ingwai could not believe that apart from the samurai, they were now also against the 3 sorcerers generals who became their enemies' allies. So Kai answered him that except for one person, it was the result of what Kalsu and the Dark Rebel Army were doing in the past 2 years. When Kai insulted Kalsu, Ingwai got angry and quickly attacked her with Yajo Taioken that knocked her down. Ingwai rushed again, so Kai used Tala's technique. Because of this, Ingwai's body gradually turned to stone. But it only took a few moments for him to get rid of it, and when he was about to attack Kai, a defensive barrier was suddenly activated on the two of them. Ingwai knew that it was a high-level defense spell. Since the samurai only had limited magic spell which they could use, he immediately thought that there was a high priest in the room with them. It was here that Yoko appeared to them, and she told Kai and the others that they had to leave, because Ingwai's army was on their way to the area. Ingwai was shocked to know that she was still alive, because he saw her fell to the cliff and died in Metallicana. But he could not deny that he was also fascinated by Yoko's beauty. While Ingwai was still imprisoned in the barrier, Joshua and the others took advantage of this opportunity to take the foods from the storage room. When they left, Ingwai remembered Yoko's father, named Gio, who was the great priest. When they returned to the samurai's base and while they were eating, Vi discussed the events that happened earlier on how strong Kai's talas and how Yoko made a barrier to atop the fight. Shen remembered what Ingwai said, which was the reason why he also remembered his wife, named Marie, whom he wanted to avenge. When Angus was about to eat the meat, he paused, because Lars was asking him that meat. Meanwhile, Joshua and Kai were currently talking to their leader, named Mifune, and they mentioned to him what Yoko did. They were able to track how quickly Yoko had boosted her power in just a matter of 2 years. Then they discussed again about their king, who was King Harris. As samurai, they were willing to sacrifice their lives just to avenge their king. They reminisce about the day when they saw Yoko, who was asking for help from them, and for Mifune, he thought that it might be a destiny for that day to happen. While Yoko was taking a bath, Vi planned to sneak and peek at her. Yoko immediately felt his presence, but when Yoko opened the door, she just saw Lucien because Joshua stopped Vi from his attempt. It had been 2 years since Yoko tried to summon Schneider, but the ritual was not working on Lucien anymore. So she decided that this time, she would be the one to protect him. One day, the civilians attacked the base of orcs outside the kingdom of Judas. But before they could get close to the orcs, they were suddenly faced by lizard men. Because of this, many of them were immediately killed in that attack. A few moments later, another samurai named Jorg came there and attacked the lizard men. Using his Becerra black wolf blade, he easily split the hard bodies of the lizard men. Together with the other samurai, they rushed towards the other lizard men, but suddenly, somebody made a separate attack on the civilians. It turned out to be done by one of the sorcerer shogun, named Macapine. Using his weapon, he simultaneously killed the samurai around him. When Jorg attacked using his Becerra black wolf blade, Macapine just easily stopped him. Because of this, his hands and feet were also dismembered, and Macapine also killed the remaining samurai. Jorg learned about the special wires that was used by Macapine as its weapon, which was called Yozanchi. Macapine mentioned to Jorg about a samurai who betrayed his companions just to save himself. And this was the reason why they were able to prepare, because they already knew what Jorg and the other samurai were planning. Aside from this, they also had an idea where the samurai's residence was located, and they were planning to attack it, so that Macapine could defeat and kill Joshua too. Jorg could not believe what Macapine had told him about the samurai who betrayed to Kalsu about the samurai's continuous attacks on Danis. He intended to tell him the rumored female leader of this group, but he did not expect that Kalsu already knew that it was Kai. Apart from this, he also knew that there was another woman who led the samurai, and this surprised Ingwei too. When he mentioned Yoko's name, the sorcerer shoguns were surprised that she was still alive. They could not believe that she survived the massive explosion at Metallicana. But Macapine was not surprised by this, because even Sheila was said to have survived that day. He also told them his plan to capture Yoko, because it could be the way for them to find Princess Sheila. As Joshua was doing his training, he thought about the strategy that they were currently working on to fight against Kalsu's army. Suddenly, his training was interrupted when Kai came there and challenged him to spar with her. Meanwhile, they heard that it was Lucien's birthday that day, and they were surprised to find out that he was already 17 years old. Other than this, they were also wondering that in the past 2 years, nothing had changed on his body at all. After Joshua and Kai sparred, they talked about Lucien and Schneider. Joshua was still shocked to know that Schneider was inside Lucien. Kai could understand him, because Yoko had tried the ritual over again, but it still did not work and she still could not summon Schneider out. It was not long before Jorg arrived at the samurai residence, then Joshua was immediately informed, and they also called for Yoko to heal him. Yoko tried to use her healing power on him, but because of the severe injuries Jorg received, and the excessive blood that was lost from him, Yoko knew that he would not last long either. Jorg could feel it too, so even before he said goodbye, he told Joshua that Macapine and the enemies already knew their location. He also warned them about the great strength that Macapine possessed. A few moments after Jorg took his last breath, the Prince of the Iron Maiden came there and was looking for the alleged traitor samurai. But according to Mifune and Yoko, there was no traitor among them, and the enemies did not know yet their exact location. Since Macapine tricked Jorg and was forced to go home, it was for sure that Macapine was able to follow him with the thread that Macapine attached on Jorg's body. And as they expected, Macapine with another sorcerer shogun, named Thori, were already outside, not far away from their location. Thori was confident that they would be able to eliminate many samurais, because he also had his pet Sphinx with him. He had him attack the castle with his thunderbolt, and this made Yoko and the others knew that the enemies had arrived. They immediately got ready to face Macapine and the enemies. Mifune assigned Kai and Joshua to protect Yoko and Lucien no matter what happened. Together with other samurai, they faced the Sphinx. They did not know that Macapine had already placed his threads where they were standing. Because of this, many people immediately fell to his trap. Mohi tried to cut the threads around his body, but he failed and died too. Suddenly, someone threw oil where Vi was standing, and it was done by Yoko. Because of this, they could now see the threads clearly. Kai approached Vi to help him fight the Sphinx and used their joint power when they attacked their opponent. But it did not work, then suddenly Thori attacked Kai from behind, but Shen blocked it. Shen told them that he would fight against Thori, so Kai and Vi faced the Sphinx again. While Macapine was watching Thori's fight with Shen, he was surprised when he saw Joshua by his side. On the other hand, Hamet's group were protecting the civilians, but because of the threads that Macapine placed in the area, many of them had also fallen and they could no longer get out of the castle. Because of this, the prince was very afraid that they might be covered if the castle collapsed. This reaction made Mifune think that the prince was not worthy of their loyalty. As Shen and Thori continued their fight, Thori noticed the black blade that Shen was using, so he found out that the number 2 samurai was his opponent. After Shen moved back, he used the Futomeo Ken, which Thori was not able to avoid. But Shen was surprised that he was still alive, and Thori's body was just regenerating. Then he released demon bloodworms. Since there were so many of them, Shen's whole body was surrounded by them. During the battle between Joshua and Macapine, Joshua used the butterfly dance Ashura blade. But before he got close to Macapine, he was suddenly attacked by a sphinx. It was a female sphinx, and it was only here that he found out that there were other sphinx brought by the enemies. Angus managed to kill the sphinx that was faced by Vi, but he was attacked by the other sphinx. When Kai looked up, he saw many sphinxes at the top of the castle. They went down and attacked other samurai, and were able to enter the castle after a while. When Macapine caught Joshua, he immediately killed him. Yoko remembered about a magic spell that her father told her which had the ability to bring back the person who passed away. But in return, the person who used this spell would have to die. However, she still decided to use this spell and was ready to sacrifice herself. When she started this, she suddenly heard Lucien's voice, and Schneider was suddenly awakened. He immediately eliminated the sphinxes that were about to attack him. Then he used napalm death, which caused the sphinxes to run out. Thori could not believe that there were none of his sphinxes left after that attack, while Macapine was thrilled because he knew that Schneider was the one who did it. Even Kai and Yoko had a hunch that the power they felt came from Schneider. When Lars approached Schneider, Mifune no longer doubted that it was really him. The prince immediately came to Schneider and ordered him to give him protection, but he was only beaten. Macapine and Thori came to their location to attack Schneider, but Schneider easily parried their attacks. They could not believe that Schneider was able to block their simultaneous attacks. When they attacked again, the war god's flame was used on them, causing them both to be thrown away. Thori charged again, but Schneider got ahead of him. He tried to get close to Schneider, but he could not do anything about him either. While Schneider was stomping on him, Yoko and the others also came there. Macapine got up to use his Galleon sword, which was an anti-magic sword. When he rushed, he also used a civilian to be a shield, but when he attacked, Schneider used Thori to block this. Macapine did not want to give up, because he did not want Kalsu to be disappointed and lose his trust on him. Because of this, Schneider was forced to release his dragons. With the power shown by the creatures, Macapine was not able to avoid this attack and was thrown away. After that, they all noticed that the storm barrier was also gone. Schneider was asking for an applause, and said that the most handsome hero had returned. Yoko suddenly hugged him and kissed him on the cheek, causing him to be surprised. But after that, she also beat him because it took him so long to show up and many people had already died. Then Yoko begged him to resurrect their dead colleagues. As Thori was about to run away to inform Kalsu of Schneider's return, he was stopped on his way. Since Schneider saw many regeneration worms in Thori's body, he removed them all, and used them in his technique to revive the dead. Just a few minutes later, he brought back all the victims including Jorg. Then he remembered again what Yoko had promised to him when he was still fighting Abigail. So he wanted them to do it. Meanwhile, Macapine was thrown too far, and fell into an abandoned city. After a while, someone came to him, and it turned out to be Gara. Because of Macapine's fall, Gara remembered the day when he also fell in a desert. In the past 2 years, he went through a lot before arriving in this place. And because Macapine repeatedly mentioned that the one who did it to him would pay, Gara asked him who he was talking about. After mentioning Schneider's name, Gara immediately assigned his disciples to treat Macapine's wound. This was because he intended to make Macapine brought him to Schneider's location. Lars remembered the day after the explosion at Metallicana, where Angus saw him. They were saved with a teleportation magic, and he suspected that Schneider was the one who did it. Meanwhile, Kalsu dreamed of the times when he was young, and other young people were avoiding to play with him because he was said to be dangerous. Then he saw his mother crying and asking for his forgiveness, but he could not understand why she was apologizing to him. Because of the chaos that was happening in the world, one of the sorcerer's shoguns, named Shella, was looking for the savior that he would serve. And it was one of the 5 knights, who was Prince Lars of Metallicana, but he suddenly disappeared from the Golem War. And with the new savior who would reappear, he believed that this was Kalsu, but he noticed his gradual change with each passing day. Suddenly, someone attacked their guards, and he was alerted immediately. It was only a few moments before the enemies reached their room, and it turned out to be the werewolf and the war tiger. Then Diamond appeared to them, and introduced himself as the main servant of Schneider. When he said his name, Shella immediately recognized him as one of the 3 sorcerer generals of Arshas. He planned to suck Kalsu's blood, so Shella immediately prepared to stop Diamond from what he was planning to do. Diamond thought that Shella was a woman, but it turned out that he was a man. According to Shella, Kalsu would not agree that the sorcerer shogun had a female member, since he hated women. Diamond ordered the werewolf and the war tiger to attack Shella. When they rushed, someone suddenly attacked them, and it turned out to be Ingwai. The other sorcerer shogun were currently on their way, and Diamond's group definitely could not do anything against them. But Diamond's group just laughed at them because it was full moon that night, and they were stronger because of that. After Diamond used his power, the appearance of the castle gradually changed. Shella thought that it was just an illusion, but Diamond said that this was actually the real appearance of Judas Castle caused by the imminent return of Anthrasax. When the other sorcerer shogun came there, they also wondered why the room's appearance had changed. Diamond explained that using a powerful illusion spell, the room looked normal in the eyes of the sorcerer shoguns, but when he used his power he was able to dispel this illusion technique. Due to Diamond insults on Kalsu, the sorcerers could not take it anymore, so they rushed at Diamond, but he used his spinning shrimp throw high jump assassin. He also mentioned the return of Schneider, which surprised all of them. Because of this, Kalsu suddenly woke up, and they all felt the sudden drop of the temperature in the room. When Kalsu came out of his room, he released great power and the room came back to its normal appearance. He also attacked Diamond's group, and killed 2 of Diamond's disciples. Diamond made an attack on Kalsu, and when Ingwai was about to save him, Kalsu just used his Danzigar, which caused Ingwai to be driven away, and Diamond's attack to return to him. Kalsu approached Diamond, who reverted to his other form, but Kalsu kicked him until his body was crushed and was torn to pieces. After that, Kalsu told the sorcerer shoguns that they would have a meeting after 5 minutes. Suddenly, they heard Diamond's voice again, and they were in disbelief when they found out what Schneider had done to Macapine and Thori. Due to the loss of Diamond's body, he decided to retreat first. After Kalsu left there, Shella could see that he was no longer the Kalsu he knew because of what he did to Ingwai. He wanted to talk to Kalsu about it, but Ingwai stopped him because their meeting was about to start anyway. Sheila told Ingwai that they both knew there's something different from Kalsu. He remembered the first day of his confrontation with Kalsu where he was quickly being defeated by him. Because of what Kalsu did to help their place during the winter, and hoped that Kalsu could also possibly save the whole world, Ingwai decided to serve him from that day. It was here that Kalsu formed the Sorcerer Shogun, and he became its first member. At the beginning of their meeting, Kalsu mentioned other commercial cities in the central Metal Lion continent that refused to submit their alliance to them. He planned to send an army which made up of demi-humans to these areas, and force the people in the cities to be under their control. But not a single Sorcerer Shogun would join this operation, because there was another mission that he wanted them to do. They were assigned to go to the lost city of the elves, called King Crimson Glory. At the beginning of the operation of the demi-humans sent by Kalsu to the commercial cities which they have not conquered, Joshua and the others immediately found out about it too. So before even reaching their destination, an army of demi-humans was stopped by the samurai and Schneider. In the evening, they held a meeting and they learned from their scouts that not a single sorcerer shogun was with the demi-humans sent by Kalsu to conquer other commercial cities. They were so puzzled by this that they thought of asking the leader of the demi-humans himself to get an information. A few hours later, as Kai was outside while getting some air, Joshua approached her. They talk about Schneider again, and he said that he could see that Schneider was free to do anything he liked, and Joshua was jealous of it. But Kai told him that they did not need to compare themselves to Schneider. While Joshua was watching Kai, he remembered again the day when Yoko talked to him and asked him to let Kai live in the samurai residence. At first, he was ready to refuse Yoko's request, but when Kai appeared to him, he was fascinated by her beauty. And because of this, Yoko made him agree to allow Kai in the samurai residence. Meanwhile, after Ingwai made sure that all their airships were working, he made a decision to left immediately for their mission. So a few minutes later, they started to travel towards King Crimson Glory. Although they saw thunderclouds ahead, Ingwai had no intention of avoiding them because it would take too long if they would find another route. On the other hand, Shella was left behind in the castle because he was assigned to watch over Kalsu and the children. When Joshua asked the leader of the demi-humans, who was one of their captives, they found out that the sorcerer shoguns were no longer in the continent and they were on their way to the King Crimson Glory. This orc also informed them that they were using airships which made it impossible for them to chase after the sorcerer shoguns. Since their captive also mentioned the impending reawakening of Anthrasax, Kai thought that Sheila might be in this place too. Hammett wondered how did Kalsu's group knew the location of this elven city and how did they know that Sheila was there. Although they did not know the answers to these questions, Joshua said that whatever happened, they had to get Sheila before the sorcerer shoguns would. But their problem now was how they could get ahead of the sorcerer shoguns to reach the lost city, since they did not even know where it was. Meanwhile, as soon as the wounds that Macapine got were healed, he and Garrett immediately left. Garrett planned to go to Schneider's hideout first, because he told them that in case they were unexpectedly got separated, they just had to go there so they would meet each other. It had been 2 years since they all parted ways, and he was not expecting that someone was waiting there, but he had no idea that Arshas was already there. The prince summoned Schneider and Yoko along with other samurais to go to the dungeon. When they got there, they were surprised to see a type of device, and according to Schneider, it was a teleportation gate created by elves. When the prince came there, he mentioned that the castle was used to be owned by the elves long ago. Yoko noticed what was written on this device, and although she could read a little from it, he could not read the entire words on it. They were surprised when Schneider suddenly read it all, and he added that it was an ancient language used by elves. Because of this, he also explained to everyone how the device was used. With enough magical power, it could teleport anyone no matter how far the desired location was. And if it was true that this was the former castle of the elves, there was a possibility that the usual destination was their capital, and it was the King Crimson Glory. Because of this, they were happy on what they had heard, because they would surely be able to get ahead of the sorcerer shogun in arriving at the King Crimson Glory. But when the prince told Schneider to activate this gate so he could go to Sheila, he rejected his command. The samurai did not like it, and even the prince went through all the possibilities on what might happen to the world once Anthrasax woke up again. Schneider still did not agree. He did not care what Kalsu and Anthrasax would do, because what was important for him was to conquer the whole world, and he would simply eliminate anyone who would dare to stop him. When the samurai were about to prepare to attack him, the lady that Schneider saved earlier came there to stop them. She approached Schneider and tried to make everyone understand the kind of behavior Schneider had. And for her, there was still good in him because he saved her from death earlier. Because of this, Schneider suddenly changed his mind and decided to activate the teleportation gate. He immediately started it, and when it was activated, he was surprised that Lars suddenly disappeared. Before they left, Hammett told Joshua about his plan to attack Judas Castle while its defense was still weak, but since Kalsu was still there, Joshua told him to be careful on this. So Hammett also mentioned that the great priest, named Geo and Nifune, who was also one of the 5 knights, would be with them to fight against Kalsu. He added that Geo was currently hiding with the 10 wise men of Europe. This was the reason why he had not told Yoko yet that his father was still alive, so that she would not be distracted, because right now, she was the only one who could control Schneider. It turned out that Lars was hiding because he did not want to come with them, but he also did not want to just entrust his sister Sheila to Schneider, so he decided to come along. It was only a few moments when those who would go to King Crimson Glory entered the teleportation gate. And when they left, Mifune immediately had Hammett prepared their army. They sent a samurai to inform Geo of their plan to attack the capital of Judas, which was called Tiptoa, begged him to lead the Lunatia army that would attack from the south. Geo did not think twice to accept it, and the samurai also mentioned about the possible location of Sheila. He added that a group of samurai were currently on their way to take Sheila, together with Yoko and Schneider, who were also included in this quest. When Sean was entering the room, she was surprised just like Geo when they heard the name of Schneider. Because Sean still could not believe it, the samurai told the story of what Schneider had done to the 2 sorcerer shoguns and on Kalsu's army of demi-humans. Meanwhile, Sheila dreamed of Anthrasax who wanted to take her. Because of great fear, she asked for help from his brother Lars, who immediately saved her. But she could feel that it was not Lars, but Schneider. Baba saw that she was in tears while sleeping, and this made he surprised. Baba immediately thought that since the cast spell that Schneider placed on Sheila was weakening, it was possible that she also wake up soon. In Sheila's current condition, it would be easy for Kalsu to detect her, or they might even already know her current location. At night, when Sheila was about to close the window, a child suddenly appeared to him. Because his face was familiar, he immediately thought that he must be the young Kalsu. He knew that it was part of what Kalsu was currently dreaming about, and only a few moments, when he saw Kalsu's past when he was still with his mother. Kalsu asked his mother where his father was, and according to his mother, he had returned in the world where his father was born. After this, Sheila also saw the day that the other children were bullying Kalsu, and because of insults that these children had said about his mother, he accidentally used his power on them. Because of this, he was locked up and taken away from his mother. But one day his mother visited him, and she was holding a sword. It turned out that she was ordered to kill her son, because the people of their village were worried about his power. It made him sad when his mother hurt him, but it also caused him to kill his own mother. Because of this dream, it also affected the reality. It turned out that Kalsu was currently in the dungeon temple, where Anthrasax was located, and the guards could even hear Anthrasax's voice from outside. They were very scared, and after a while Sheila also came there. Kalsu suddenly got out of the room, and because the two guards heard Anthrasax's voice, Kalsu decided to kill them right away. Then he approached Sheila and locked him in ice. When Ingwai's group entered the thunderclouds, some airships were struck by lightning. But Ingwai did not budge, because of the growing light of the eyes of the world, it made him think that they were surely close to the King Crimson Glory. But after a while, they saw a cloud dragon. Using its power, the cloud dragon attacked another airship. They suspected that this might be the guard around the lost city. When it attacked the airship where Vlad was riding, Vlad was able to cling to another airship. The dragon continued to attack until it aimed at Ingwai's airship, but another airship intercepted this attack. Ingwai ordered the captain of his airship to increase the engine output of their airship. Even though the captain warned him that it might blow the engines of the airship, Ingwai still told him to continue. He noticed again the strange movement of the eyes of the world, and they saw the light ahead. They successfully got out of the thunderclouds, and immediately saw the King Crimson Glory. It was only a few moments when they were surprised to see the lights falling on the teleportation gate. Because of this, they immediately knew that someone had successfully opened it, so someone got ahead of them in this place. The dragon came there and attacked the other airships again, so Ingwai told everyone to land on King Crimson Glory, because if this was indeed the guard of the city, it would surely stop attacking them. When Schneider and the rest of his companions landed in the King Crimson Glory, Yoko was amazed that this place was floating. So she asked what caused it to fall, and Schneider said that she would soon know the reason for this, and why the whole world was destroyed 400 years ago. In a peaceful place covered by Iron Maiden, where a family lived, the old man told his grandson about the incident that happened 400 years ago. This was the time when people became greedy, which caused wars between them. It was here that the experts created the demon gods led by Anthrasax on an assumption that they could remove the chaos from the world. But they did not expect that with its terrifying power, it would destroy the world. They even tried to stop it, but humanity could do nothing about it. Until one day, a dragon warrior suddenly appeared. He fought against Anthrasax, and after several weeks of battle, he was able to defeat the forces of evil. When the smoke cleared after his last attack, other people saw the placement of the 4 seals on Anthrasax. Then he told the people that after 400 years, this seal would be broken, but his descendant would be the next dragon warrior and would defeat Anthrasax again. After the old man told the story, the boy decided to go to sleep. While the old man and his son Zeke were talking about what his father told his son, they were visited by a warrior who belonged to the army that was going to attack Tiptoa. He was looking for other warriors to join the fight, and because Zeke used to be a warrior of Iron Maiden, he invited him. Zeke rejected it because his father did not want to agree on this, but when he heard that the fight would be led by Mifune and Geo, Zeke finally decided to go with him, and asked his father to watch over his wife and son. When Vi got up, he immediately approached Schneider to complain when Schneider stepped on his head. While they were arguing, they did not notice that an airship was about to crash on them. When they noticed this, Schneider quickly threw Vi, and because of this, he was the only one who got hurt in the airship explosion. They also saw the other airships of the sorcerer shogun that were equally damaged. Then they saw the cloud dragon, and since the creature had turned down all the airships, it also left the area. The people noticed the disappearance of the clouds which was surrounding the King Crimson Glory, causing them to see it visibly from below. Yoko immediately looked for Schneider. She thought that something bad happened to him, but suddenly, many little Schneiders appeared to her. He also saw Lucian, and after a while they got together to form Schneider's real body. When they saw the wreckage of the other airships, they got worried because they were close to the temple where Sheila was possibly located. They were about to move to go to Sheila, but Schneider sensed that an enemy was near them, so he tried to attack him, but it did not work. After a while, he showed himself to them. He was also a sorcerer shogun, and introduced himself as Gil. Suddenly, Lars heard a voice, and it turned out to be Schneider who was talking to him with the telepathy. Lars found out that Schneider could not see anything, and according to Schneider it might be the effect of the explosion. They had no idea that Kalsu was just watching them using the eyes of the world. He was so happy that they finally found the location of the last seal. Vi decided that he would be the one to face Gil, so that the others could leave with Joshua in finding Sheila. He attacked Gil, and the two of them fought each other, but Gil got a chance to use the Kajanui to others. Because of this, they could no longer move. He did not use this technique on Schneider because he wanted them both to fight. Schneider still had not regained his sight, but he was still confident that Gil could not defeat him. When Gil started his attacks, he could always hit Schneider with his daggers. He used his shadow Myozin that gave much damage to Schneider and caused him to fall to his knees. But after a while, Schneider just laughed at Gil's attacks because those had no effect on him. This was the moment when Gil used his secret shadow demon spirit. When the enemy attacked, Schneider just used the Dark Angel technique, and the enemy was defeated immediately. Then he pulled Gil, who was just hiding where he was standing, but Gil was able to make a quick attack on him. Schneider asked him about their plan, if they were to conquer the whole world. Gil replied that they would build a country for only the elite people. Schneider did not like it because they could only make a few people happy in it. So when Gil asked about Schneider's plan in case he conquered the whole world, Schneider said that he would make sure to please half the crowd in the world. It turned out that he would only take care of women, and men would serve as his servants or slaves. Then he will conquer not only their world, but also the universe. Gil was stunned upon hearing this, because Schneider had a high ambition. Gil accepted his defeat, and begged Schneider to just kill him. But Schneider refused to do it, and left him to go and find Sheila. Since Schneider's vision had not yet returned, he did not know that his direction was not going to the temple, so Yoko immediately followed him. While Gara and Macapine reached the forest where they could find the hideout which was being referred by Gara. When Macapine noticed the beauty of the surroundings, Gara said that the nature was naturally beautiful, but someone just wanted to destroy it. It was here that he mentioned Kalsu and the reawakening of Anthrasax, and he was sure that they would turn this nature into ashes. Macapine did not agree with his view, and wanted to fight Gara. But Gara warned him not to try it, because Macapine would never be able to defeat him. Suddenly, a dragon zombie appeared and attacked them. When they were able to hide, they noticed that it seemed to be moving away from them, so Macapine thought that there might be a dark elf village near the area. He added that it might be because of the smell from the dark elf that it ended up there, and it had no intention in fighting them. Because of this, Gara suddenly released his intense aura which surprised Macapine. Gara rushed at the dragon zombie to kill it, before it could reach what it was looking for. But before he could get close to it, the dragon zombie used the breath of decay, then Macapine was surprised that it did not even work on Gara. When Gara attacked, it also did not work on the dragon zombie. So Macapine decided to help Gara to fight the dragon zombie. When Gara used the true Majinkan, he was able to defeat it. Meanwhile in their hideout, Arshas discovered a hidden door inside the mansion. She entered it and saw the device inside, which suddenly lit up and showed an image of Anthrasax. Then she also saw the events that occurred when Anthrasax destroyed the world 400 years ago. Suddenly, she heard someone's footsteps, so she quickly went out thinking that it was Schneider. But when she got close to him, she was surprised because it was just Gara. This was the moment when Macapine found out Gara's reason for fighting the dragon zombie. When he looked up, he was surprised to see the King Crimson Glory. After they entered the mansion, he learned about it from Arsha's. After a while, he saw Thori's telepathy insect and it talked to him about the rebel army, which was on its way to Tiptoa. He also found out that Shella was the only sorcerer shogun who was guarding Kalsu, and Thori wanted to go to the castle to help Shella in protecting Kalsu as well. Because of this, he immediately said goodbye to Garrett and Arsha's to go to Judas Castle. While Schneider and the others were going to the temple, Kalsu suddenly appeared in front of them. Gil was surprised that he traced them, so Kalsu says that the eyes of the world were connected to Anthrasax, and it caused him to immediately learn the coordinates of King Crimson Glory. Apart from this, he also said that he would not entrust the final seal to the sorcerer shoguns. After that, Kalsu used his technique that Schneider hated. When the attack was released, Schneider used the Chrome Rose. When Schneider was about to follow this with another attack, Lucian showed him the day when he first met Kalsu. Because of this, he hesitated to attack, causing Kalsu's attack to hit him. The sorcerer shoguns noticed the ongoing battle on the bridge. After Baba felt the sudden earthquake, Sheila also woke up from her deep sleep. Baba was very grateful that she had finally woken up. When Joshua and the rest saw the effect of the attack, Schneider had suffered severe injuries. They wondered why he was the only one that had seriously injured, so they thought that it must be because Schneider tried to protect them, but Vi did not believe in it. Gil spoke and told them that they did not know what Schneider had done. Schneider could have avoided Kalsu's attack, but he chose to block it instead, just to protect them all. Gil also mentioned about Schneider's current condition that he lost his sight, which they did not notice either. Because of this, it made them say that Schneider was this good, but Yoko was not sure about this. When Schneider was annoyed on Kalsu, he suddenly woke up and took Lars to guide him to where Kalsu was located. They immediately left and quickly caught up with Kalsu, then he attacked him immediately. When they both fell, Schneider grabbed Kalsu and punched him, but Kalsu was also fast and got away. Then he created a lot of shadow clones. But Kalsu did not expect that Schneider would quickly find his true body. This was when Schneider used the venom technique that Kalsu tried to block. But it just broke Kalsu's barrier that had made Kalsu dissolved. After that, Schneider immediately entered the temple to get Sheila. But after a few moments, his body suddenly split. It was done by Kalsu's attack, whose body gradually regenerated. Previously, during the time when they were still together with Arsha's. One night, Schneider told Kalsu what he had been looking for a long time. This was the half part of him which was taken from him and was hidden when he was born into this world. So he wanted that Kalsu would serve the other half part of him while he had not found it yet. Yoko suddenly stopped when she immediately sensed that something bad had happened to Schneider. Because of what was happening in Kalsu's body, Baba remembered that it was the same as the undead Cyclops and on what happened to Abigail, so she immediately thought that Kalsu was also infected by Anthrasax. When the temple exploded, it was here that Angus spoke, which surprised Joshua and the others. Yoko immediately recognized Angus's voice, so this was the moment when he showed his true appearance, and it turned out to be Abigail. But Abigail made it clear right away that he was not an enemy. And what he had done in the past 2 years was just caused by Anthrasax's manipulation of his mind. He said that it started when they got the first seal in the kingdom of Judas, which was connected on Anthrasax's mind. This was the reason why he was quickly infected by Anthrasax, but when Schneider destroyed his body, it also damaged the part of Anthrasax that was in his body. This was the reason why he was able to return to his real body and pretend to be Angus for the meantime. After he explained, he showed little Schneider clinging onto Yoko. This one was the missing part of Schneider, why he lost his sight earlier. He also mentioned that Kalsu had also been infected by Anthrasax and was now an immortal. Currently, they definitely could do nothing against it, especially with Schneider's current body. But he could think of a way to restore his body, and it was through his magic hammer. Since Schneider did not agree on this, Yoko and Kai quickly grabbed him. And with just one stroke of Abigail's magic hammer on him, he immediately returned to his normal body. A few moments later, another sorcerer shogun came there. Zion, who was the brother of Shen, was with them, because he also wanted to take revenge. This is because he killed Marie to get the magic sword called the Soul Eater. He wanted to fight Schneider with the Soul Eater, and this was when Ida brought out the demon disciples. Schneider asked Abigail if there was any way to return Kalsu to his normal body. but Abigail could not think of a way. Because of this, Schneider decided to go to Kalsu. The sorcerer shoguns tried to stop Schneider, but Joshua and the others confronted them. Joshua and Jorg defeated Ida's demons, while Yoko and Abigail did the same. Vi and others started to fight the other sorcerer shogun. Kai fought against Shan's brother, named Ran, while Shen and Zion fought each other. When Shen attacked with his Fudo Ken, Zion just blocked it. While Macapine and Thori were able to arrive in the kingdom of Judas. Thori told Macapine that his body had not yet returned to normal because Schneider took a lot of regenerative worms from him. They planned to go to the dungeon temple where they believed Kalsu was located. But on their way, they saw the guards of the castle on the floor, who looked as if their souls had been torn away from them. Then they saw Shella, who was still trapped in the ice, so Macapine quickly saved him. According to Macapine, he was currently experiencing cryogenic sleep, and they needed to treat him immediately in order to wake him up. He also wondered why this happened to Shella, but he had suspicion about who did it to him. Because of the power of darkness that Kalsu was carrying, the seal on Sheila's body reacted to it, and if this continued, the seal would be broken. While the fighting against the demi-humans was ongoing outside, the castle started to shake, and they had a hunch where it came from. Kalsu was about to kill Sheila in order to break the seal, but he was suddenly been attacked by Schneider. When he got up, Schneider attacked him again, and Kalsu quickly retaliated using his power. With the strong power of their attacks, it created a powerful explosion. So they noticed it immediately, and they saw Schneider and Kalsu above. Abigail knew that it would be a battle between their respective magic spells. This was when Kalsu suddenly remembered Schneider as his old friend and master. As their fight continued, Kalsu attacked first with his Dankard. After Schneider avoided it, he retaliated with his Rainbow's mystic arrow. While they were watching the fight, Abigail could see that each of them was just waiting for the opportunity to use their strongest attack since it was necessary to use a longer incantation. After a few moments, Kalsu started casting a spell for his strongest attack, and so did Schneider. Based on Schneider's spell, Abigail noticed immediately that Kalsu would finish to cast his spell first. He did not make a mistake on this, and using Kalsu's testament with absolute zero temperature, it hit Schneider directly. Kalsu thought the fight was over, but they were surprised that Schneider was still alive. It was here that they realized that the spell that Schneider used was not an attack spell, but a spell to create a barrier. Schneider used Halloween to retaliate against Kalsu, but Kalsu was also able to block the attack on him. According to Abigail, Kalsu did a superconduction. He explained to Yoko what it was, but from what he could see now, there was a high possibility that Schneider would still win in the fight. This was because Schneider was able to protect himself against Kalsu's strongest technique with absolute zero temperature. Other than this, Schneider had not yet used the forbidden spell, called the Black Sabbath Dawning, which was an ultra-high temperature spell and stronger than Halloween. But Yoko still could not help but worry, because she could feel that something bad might happen. When Ingwai, Sykes and Vlad met, they immediately entered the temple to visit Sheila. But when they were near the top of the stairs, Ingwai was surprised to see Gara, who was blocking their way. Vlad immediately attacked him, but Gara only countered his attack. When Sykes attacked, Arshas suddenly attacked him. Arshas told Ingwai that they would not do anything until the fight between Schneider and Kalsu was over. Ingwai quickly recognized Gara and Arshas, and he was surprised that they were still alive. While they were watching the fight between the two, Gara said that it might be their destiny to fight because of their opposite powers. But for Arshas, the two should not end up like this, and it was possible that there was another reason why they were fighting. Kalsu once again remembered how Schneider surprised him. He saw how he continued to fight even though Schneider was considered the enemy of the whole world. He also could not forget when he told him that he needed him because even his own mother wanted him to disappear. But still, he had to kill him, and this was when he pulled out a magic sword, called the Ice Falchion. So Yoko got worried, because Schneider was currently casting a spell. When Kalsu attacked, Schneider just closed his eyes, but all of them were shocked on what Kalsu had done. Kalsu hurt himself since he could not bear to attack Schneider, because he was his only friend. While at the temple, Sheila was still in pain because of the seal. It was only a few moments when the seal was completely destroyed, and Anthrasax had been awakened again. Before Kalsu fell to the ground, Schneider quickly saved him. When they got to the ground, Schneider tried to remove the sword but his hands immediately froze, so Kalsa stopped him. Kalsa told him the reasons why he wanted to conquer the whole world. It was because he wanted to continue his dream after he died in the Golem War 17 years ago. And to accomplish this, he had tried to use the power of Anthrasax, but he did not expect that the power of the god of destruction was so intense that he lost control over it. After a few moments, Kalsa lost consciousness, causing Schneider to cry. Kalsa felt Schneider's tears, and he was surprised because since the day that they were together, he had never seen him cry. This was because Schneider had found his missing half and it was Lucien. When they felt the tremors, Kalsa suddenly woke up and something gradually grew from his body. It turned out that this was done by Anthrasax, so Kalsa begged Schneider to kill him right away. But Schneider refused to do it. Because of this, he was affected by Kalsa's growing power and caused one of his legs to be amputated. When Kalsa's sword lit up, the thing that grew in its body got even bigger and became an ice dragon which was being controlled by Anthrasax. From the constant pain that Sheila felt, Baba remembered that it was like when Schneider and Abigail had a fight. A few moments later, Yoko suddenly felt something strange, and she knew that something had happened on Sheila. Sheila also spoke to Schneider and pleaded to protect the humanity. Then the seal was completely removed from her body, causing Anthrasax to escape from its long imprisonment. Shio could not believe that the last seal had been broken and that Nifien ordered Hammett to retreat, but they saw the castle of Judas above and was already floating. Macapine and Thori could also see this, and after a while, they saw Anthrasax. It immediately released an extremely powerful attack causing a severe damage in Tiptoa. It was here that Macapine realized that what Gara had told him was true, that Anthrasax was not a god, but a monster from hell. While in King Crimson Glory, they could all hear Anthrasax's voice mentioning what he would do to the humanity and the whole world. His face also appeared in the sky, and when they saw it, they felt great fear. Abigail mentioned to all of them what he had just discovered. He said that even though Kalsa was unable to defeat Schneider, their fight and the use of their dark powers had helped to break the seal completely, and this was the true intention of Anthrasax. When Joshua was discouraged, Yoko made it clear to them that the humanity was not yet completely defeated, and they could not give up right away, because they still needed to protect the people. Schneider tried to get rid of the ice dragon, but because of the amount of blood that was lost from him, he's slowly getting weaker. Because of this, Anthrasax took advantage of this and had the ice dragon attack him. Anthrasax said that the power of the ice dragon was only equal to one of his seals, but it was even enough to defeat him. When it attacked again to kill Schneider, Garrus suddenly came there and blocked it. Then he was able to return this attack to the ice dragon. When the ice dragon tried to attack again, Arshas stopped it with its God of Thunder technique. Abigail also joined the fight and attacked the ice dragon with his forbidden technique. The samurai and sorcerer shoguns could not believe on the power shown by 3 of the 4 divine kings of Schneider. Yoko and Kai were very happy that Gara and Arshas were still alive. On the other hand, Anthrasax absorbed the souls of those who died in Tiptoa. Then the ice dragon's appearance suddenly changed, and it became one of the most terrifying monsters. They also noticed the gradual disappearance of Anthrasax's image above. The monster attacked them fiercely, and with the power from its attacks, all they could do was only to dodge them. Abigail thought of a way for them to fight it. He said that they had to remove the magical ice which was its outer cover, and then they would attack its body directly. As Gara prepared to attack, Arshas precedes him with her comet strike. Then Abigail followed it with his forbidden technique, causing the ice dragon to fall. But after a while, it rose again and attacked the 3 of them. This monster also brought out its little disciples, and the others who were around were also attacked by these creatures. Schneider could feel that Kalsa was inside this monster and was just sleeping. When the little monsters attacked the other sorcerer shoguns, they were immediately discouraged. They were all thinking the same, that they could not do anything to defeat these monsters. But they were surprised to see Joshua fighting the monsters. It turned out that not only Joshua, but also other samurai had not lost their hope yet. Shen recalled what Marie told him before she passed away. Marie wanted him not to blame Zion for what he did, because he only had his own beliefs. That's why he was forced to take the magic sword. Because of what the samurai showed, Gil decided to fight too. He released his secret shadow demon spirit to attack the huge monster. After Kai's attack, Ingwai realized the possibility that Kalsu was still alive, so he also attacked the enemies. When the other sorcerer shoguns also realized this, they were all got ready to fight in order to save Kalsu. Before they start attacking, Yoko used her power to give them defense barrier that would protect them. Together with 3 of the 4 divine kings and the samurai, they simultaneously rushed at the monster. They used their respective extreme techniques on the enemy. Even though the monster tried to attack them too, they also continued to attack it. After Zion cut off the monster's hand, he was also crushed by its attack. Shen immediately approached him, but they were rushed by 2 small monsters, and fortunately, Zack saved them. When Zack attacked the monster, it was immediately followed by Ida's attack, causing the monster's tail to be cut off. Then it was followed by Ross's attack. Because of this, the monster was writhing in pain. His ordeal was not over yet, because Sykes cut off the monster's other hand. This was when Gary used his Majin flashing divide. On the other hand, Baba and Lars felt pity as they observed Sheila's condition. But for a few moments, they were revived by hope when Gio and Sean came there. After Gara's attack, the monster finally fell to the ground. Ingwai wanted to go to Kalsu, but they were stopped, because others knew that the monster was not dead yet. It was only a few moments that the monster showed its true form. Since it was still weak, they attacked it at the same time, but before they could even get close to it, they were already being attacked by the monster. But with the great will of the sorcerer shoguns to save Kalsu, they attacked the monster again. While they were attacking it, Schneider tried to wake up Kalsu. Because of the blood that dripped from him, it was here that Kalsu regained consciousness. Kalsu could hear that as if someone was calling him, but he did not know who it was. When he felt the extreme heat, he remembered Schneider. Because of this, the monster suddenly stopped moving, and they saw the snow crystals coming out from it. Then it was here that it had gone wild, and Abigail felt the power which was as strong as Schneider, and wanted to get away from it. Schneider used his power until he was able to create the form of Phoenix. That was the moment when the ice dragon came out from the monster with Kalsu. Then the sky suddenly lit up in golden color, and the monster felt that it was not only from the power of Schneider and Kalsu. When he saw Lucien, the monster was so shocked. Because of the golden light, Gio and Baba knew that this was a sign that the Dragon Warrior was coming. It just meant that the Dragon Warrior had accepted Schneider as its descendant. Lars also realized that Schneider had regained his other half, which was the good and righteous part of his heart, and the proof of this was when he cried for Kalsu. Their fight was the way for him and Lucien to become one. They did not expect that Schneider would complete the 3 virtues, the love, the strength of guts, and justice, that made the Dragon Warrior appear to them. But for Sean, Schneider really had it all from the beginning. When Schneider and Kalsu started rushing, the monster still could not believe that he could feel the same power of the Dragon Warrior after 400 years. But Lucien was surprised that Schneider still had not fully accepted the goodness he possessed. When he and Kalsu attacked the monster could not do anything due to the extreme strength from the combined power of the attacks. Because of this, they successfully defeated the monster, and a few moments later, they saw Kalsu and Schneider together. Kalsu mentioned to Schneider what his conscience felt because of all the mistakes and evils that he had done. But Schneider suddenly let him go, and it was here that Kalsu saw his sorcerer shoguns who equally cried because of the great joy on his return. When Schneider was helping him to stand up, he remembered the good side of his mother. Schneider did not know that the 10 wise men of Europe were watching him, and they wondered why he rejected Lucien or his half-part so that he could be formed as one again. Because of this, they were concerned about the possible destruction of their plan to save the world from darkness. However, they still rely on Yoko's ability. Kalsu apologized to his sorcerer generals, and he did not expect that they would worry so much about him. While Schneider and Gara were teasing each other, Arsha suddenly approached Schneider. But because of Arsha's annoyance that it took 2 years before they met, she electrocuted Schneider. It was only here that Schneider found out that Arsha's waited for 2 years in their hideout, because it turns out that she also fulfilled what he said, that they would meet there in case their group fall apart. Kai could not believe that Arsha's would behave like this in front of them. In order for Arsha's not be sad, Schneider told her that he just did not want them to perish because of the dangerous battles. Suddenly, they heard the voice of Anthrasax, who was very angry. It warned Schneider that what happened 400 years ago would never happen again, and Anthrasax would show its full power. Then it was here that he sent out his disciples to the different parts of the continent. The 10 wise men also found out about this and saw that a teleportation magic was going to be used, so they would come together. They had a hunch that they were heading towards Schneider's location. I hope you like it and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss newly uploaded videos. Thank you for watching.